There we go. By the wonders of technology, I am here. Nice to have you on board. Whoever is so bored with their day that they've decided to tune in to me talking tennis. Remember to hit that like button, and also, if you fancy it, why not subscribe? Well, today's chat, we are here to talk about Emma Raducanu. It's been almost 12 months now since her sensational run to winning the US Open without dropping a set at the age of just 18. An incredible run that also came after an incredible Wimbledon where she made the second week before going out. What's to say? Well, it's been quite an 11 months since, and I'm kind of getting a bit concerned about, not about Emma Raducanu, not about her tennis. I'm getting concerned about some of the stuff that goes on around it. And I'm particularly thinking about the media and the way that she's being treated right now. And I'll come to my exact point on that very shortly. But let's look at some of the things that have occurred in the tennis life of Emma Raducanu over the last 11 months. So she got to that final. She beat Leylah Fernandez in September last year. Incredible. 18 years old, soaring up through the rankings as well. She's now currently ranked number 10, by the way. I mean, we're talking about right now the 10th best player in the world. She's one of only 3 players in the top 10 to have won a Grand Slam, actually. The other 2 being Garbiñe Muguruza and, of course, world number 1, Iga Swiatek. Iga Swiatek, by the way, someone of a similar age, who's won 2 majors and is not getting anywhere near the level of criticism that Emma Raducanu is getting. And I think a lot of it stems from a way the British media is orientated. I'm sure other media in other parts of the world are very similar, but with Emma Raducanu coming, she's got a mixed background, but obviously she represents the UK. The British media love to build someone up, love to build them up. And as she made the 4th round at Wimbledon, they were loving it. And yet, we had some members of the British media, when she lost at the 4th round last year, decided to go for her, saying that she wasn't mentally strong enough. She then comes back and obviously wins the US Open in sensational style, as I've already highlighted. And from this moment onwards, her life was never going to be the same. And that's down to the British media. That's down to the fact that they all wanted a piece of her. And I tell you what, some of them have taken large chunks, and not in a good way. And like I say, we're going to come to that in a second. But let's have a quick look at the 11 months since then. She's obviously not made... she's not gone deep in any of the 3 majors that we've had since then. Going out at Wimbledon this year to Caroline Garcia. Clay, French Open, probably going to be her weakest surface, certainly for the short to mid-term anyway. Australian Open, she went into that tournament with lots of issues with blisters, if we remember rightly. But she still had some great matches, and she still had some good wins. But you're not going to win all the time. Roger Federer once said, Roger Federer, who's won 20 majors, and I think we'll all agree he's had a pretty good career. He said, dealing with defeat is something that you have to get used to, something you have to deal with. And in fact, the highs of winning do outweigh the pain of losing. And I mentioned the pain of losing because this year, when she went out of Wimbledon, I thought her press conference was mature. I thought it was smart. I thought it showed that she's got things in perspective. She desperately wants to win tennis matches, no doubt about that. But she put some perspective on the defeat. She was asked about the pressure that she's under. And she said, quite smartly, she said, to be honest with you, I don't feel as much pressure as I probably would have done if I hadn't won a slam. 99% of the players on the tour haven't won a slam. Some of them, of course, are many years down the years of their career, down the line of their careers, and they've still not won a major. That's pressure, knowing that the clock is ticking. The clock is far from ticking regarding Raducanu. She's got 10, maybe 15, and if she's anything like some of the other players on tour now, she may even have 20 years left of her career. And do you know what? If she ends up retiring in 20 years and she's still only won one major, that still puts her in the upper echelons of professional tennis players, 99% of which never win a major. So let's put things in perspective. Let's remember that she's world number 10. She's going to go into this US Open. Okay, she lost last night in a quarterfinal at a WTA 250 event, I believe. But listen, let's put things in perspective. She could easily make the second week of the US Open, which I think will be a result. I think if we saw this pattern continuing for years upon years upon years, you would be wondering, are we ever going to see Raducanu come back? But right now, it's 11 months. She's had 3 majors since her unbelievable win. So I think it's time to give her a break. And in particular, there was an article in July of this year, just after she went out of Wimbledon, that really sparked this episode, if you like. It sparked this show, or this particular episode of Talking Tennis. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button, people. And it's this article, which I'm about to share with you now. It was in the Daily Mail Australia in July, just after she went out to Caroline Garcia. And yeah, I think we should talk about it, because the article basically decides to highlight the fact that she's Generation Z. Let's have a look at the headline here, which is, I think, pretty disgusting, if I'm honest. Emma Raducanu's outrageous in capital letters. Outrageous? Wow, this has to be pretty terrible. What did Emma Raducanu say? Generation Z. What? What has Generation Z got to do with her reaction? This must be an angry white man. Yeah, guess what it is? Blasted out of Wimbledon. Blasted out. Come on. She loses to Garcia, who is who's the world number 32 right now and has been predicted as a future world number 1 by Andy Murray. I don't think she is a nobody, as Mr. Coleman here, who, to be honest with you, until I saw this article, was a nobody and maybe should return to being so, proves she's fine with losing. Britain's golden girl gets a free ride. Well, I think we can see from this article she gets anything but a free ride that no Aussie star would be treated to. I want to just mention that this is the Australian version of the Daily Mail, but still, let me tell you now, someone who reads the British media on a daily basis, she's been getting anything but a free ride over the last 11 months. And the fact that this bully has decided to write this article also suggests she's getting anything but a free ride for, and please, Mr. Coleman, put this into perspective, losing a tennis match. Emma's golden girl smiled and waved to the crowd after her shock 2-round loss. Well, I don't know what's wrong with that. She said she thinks the pressure on her to win is a joke. It is a joke because she's, as I said to you before, she's already won a major. The pressure's elsewhere. It's a Generation Z attitude born out of getting trophies just for showing up. I don't think anyone, least of all Emma Raducanu, either believes or has won a trophy for just showing up. You'll, by the way, find, and I won't go into too much detail, but this article is very, very thin on evidence to support his argument. At no point does he show any evidence for the Generation Z attitude that he cites, other than the fact he's just a very unhappy person. He also highlights about this thing about getting trophies showing up. Again, he doesn't highlight any evidence to support his argument. So he says, and clearly it's written in a sarcastic tone, well done, Emma Raducanu, for making the second round of Wimbledon before bombing out to the 55th best player in the world. Well, at least he now is aware of her ranking at the time. I think the 55th best player in the world is a pretty good tennis player, by the way. Like I say, she's now world number 32. She just beat Iga. By the way, Garcia, who she lost to, has been on a great run this summer and just beat the world number 1 Iga Swiatek in her homeland. So I think let's put some respect on Garcia before we do anything else. But let's also put some respect on Emma Raducanu, because this is just, it's just trash. It's just trash. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to go any more into this article. If you really want to read it, that's fine. But sadly, he goes down some bizarre alleyways with COVID and all sorts of nonsense and conspiracy theories that really shouldn't be given this kind of platform in a national newspaper. So yeah, if we have a quick look at her world ranking anyway, world number 10 there, as I say, only Muguruza and Iga Swiatek have Grand Slams. There's players like Kontaveit and Sakkari and Badosa and even Wimbledon finalist Ons Jabeur, who clearly have far more pressure on them, really, going into this year's US Open than someone who's already won a major. Sabalenka too. We all know the issues that she's had on and off throughout this year with the double faults. So Muguruza right now, I feel desperately sorry for her. Her career seems to be in free fall. I hope she manages to arrest that slide very soon. But back to Raducanu. Of course, it's not been plain sailing. Of course, it hasn't. And of course, there's some things that I am concerned about in terms of her tennis. I am concerned with the fact that she's chopped and changed coaches constantly over the last 15 months or so. Nigel Sears left her after Wimbledon, that run to the fourth round. She then stuck with, I think, a long-term coach of hers, Andrew Richardson, until the end of the US Open, which she won. And then she decides to ditch him. Don't really know why she did that. I thought there had to be a long-term plan in place, but clearly there wasn't, because before we knew it, we had another coach for 6 months, and then we've had two more coaches kind of doing some sharing duties before an announcement recently of another coach. Although, to be honest with you, right now it appears as though she is coachless. So get your applications in. Maybe I'll be putting my application in sometime soon. Excuse me. But at the end of the day, there's also some sponsorship issues. I think, you know, we all really need to be careful, I think, with young players and the attention they're getting. Maybe as an outside observer, I've been a bit concerned with the number of sponsorship deals she's doing, whether it be with airlines, with communications companies, with banks, with cars, with fashion brands, and drinks firms, just to name but a few, that I would probably rather see her settle a bit more on her tennis career, get a coach in place, get a plan, get a midterm plan, if you like, somebody who you're going to stick with and know you can stick by for 18 months. There are plenty of experienced coaches out there, many of whom have taken players to majors who are currently seeking work. I'm sure Raducanu can find someone, and I hope it happens soon. But the message regarding this particular broadcast is I think we all need to chill out. I think we all need to put things in perspective, just like Raducanu did in that press conference at Wimbledon. And I think we also need to realize that it's okay to lose a tennis match. And I think it's also okay to take your time. I mean, we're living in a world where we need immediate success and we need things now. We need to step back. If she has a great US Open, amazing. If she doesn't, it's fine. Let's revisit this in a couple of years and see where she's at. And I tell you what, I'm convinced over the next couple of years, she's going to be going further and further at majors. And in fact, we could be here in a couple of years and she's already won a couple more. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.